Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Teresa, and I am with Keep in Touch Crafts. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator out of Minnesota. Thank you for joining me. This is my second in a row now, lately anyways, of lives that I'm bringing to you in hopes to help those of you who are kind of looking into paper crafting or stamping, card making, that kind of thing. And I hear a lot of people are overwhelmed by there's just so much to learn, or they feel like it's just too many things to buy, or just too much in so many different ways, or they're not crafty, they aren't good enough to be able to do a craft project, or they're not artsy enough, that kind of thing. And I know what that's like. I felt that way too when I was first getting into this. But what I found is it's just like anything we do. If you practice and if you aren't hard on yourself, give yourself a break and just have fun with it. That's kind of the best part about it, is that it can just be something that's relaxing, and every time you do a project you're going to learn something new and you'll be able to improve. And the best part is that we can send and give our projects to others and hopefully put a smile on their face, which is kind of the main goal here, I think, for me at least. And just giving that handmade card or getting something in the mail is kind of a treat these days. So hopefully we can learn some skills to make it possible to be able to do that. And everybody's abilities or even styles of what you want to make are going to be different. And that's what's great about it is, I might have a style of a card and somebody else is going to be totally different, kind of like handwriting, right? We all learn the same exact thing, but the outcome is different because we have different styles, we have different abilities or whatever. So you're going to be able to develop your own skills, and they're going to be different than mine, but it's going to be your special touch, right? And that's kind of what I feel is important. And you can learn this craft. It's very doable. Just practice, have fun, enjoy. And I am going to start today with showing you what I feel are what I call level 1 supplies, maybe, or tools that you can use if you want to begin paper crafting. They're just 5 things that I feel are the basics. And then that would be a great place to start. Some of them you may have, some of them you may not, but if you want to get into it, maybe this is something that you can look for at garage sales, or you can purchase at Stampin' Up! Through me, or you can, get on sale or whatever. Maybe you have a friend who has some of these things and they aren't using them. So I'm going to start off with that basic toolkit, and then we're going to go into a project that you can do with some of those tools and kind of minimal supplies. I'm not going to have a lot of things that you're going to need to do this, and it's very something that's very flexible or conducive to be used in many different situations with very little fancy product. Okay, so we're gonna get started soon here. Let me show you a couple of things. First, I'm gonna go down to my work place here. There we go. Hopefully you can see that okay. We are going to get started with some of the tools that I feel are very important. The first one, okay, for me, number 1 is our trimmer, a good quality paper trimmer. And there are different styles. Again, if you have one, great. I'm going to show you features that this has that I feel are important. And you can get one that has what you feel, you can have. But things to look for are, this one has 2 blades on it. It has a blade that does the actual cutting. It's very sharp. And then it's got a scoring blade. So you can score and cut your projects with these. And this is probably my most important, most used tool, because it's going to cut things straight, and it's going to cut them square, and you're going to have an extended base here to be able to use. It goes over 17 inches this direction, and then in this direction it'll hold up to, gosh, I think it's over 12 inches, maybe 13 inches. There is a ruler on this part. Right here it's printed on there, so you're going to be able to see where you're cutting. And our scoring blades have, I'll show you, I'm going to take one off. They come off the track at the bottom here. So if I can get this off, here's what our blades look like. What's nice is the blades have these little grooves in them on the side. I'll see if I can have you see this. These little grooves here. So you're going to see exactly where your blade is going to go in. So you can do some precise cuts that start at one spot, go a certain distance, and stop. So there are times when we need to be able to do that. At first that seems like something you wouldn't need to do, but it's really a nice feature is these little lines and grooves on our blade here. And the scoring blade, we score so often, and you might be wondering, why do you score? It makes you have a much more crisp fold on your projects. And we do, if you're making cards especially, you do a lot of folding because you make cards that have openings and pleats and folds and all kinds of goodies. So that is very important. So this paper trimmer is so nice because you can see here's the track that does the cutting and scoring, and it fits anywhere from our 12 by 12 paper, and it can be more than that even small stuff too. And you'll see me use this like every time I make a project. So that is my number one pick for the toolbox. Number two is I was going to say, by the way, the trimmer and score from Stampin' Up! Are $25, in case you're wondering. And the next one is the bone folder. And this is probably something you may think you may not understand why that's so important, but it really is, because when we are doing that scoring, then we want to press down on the edge that we scored or folded. And that helps to get a nice crisp fold, and you use it a lot. This is used every day as well. So I would say a bone folder for me, I'm suggesting that to be number 2 of your tools, and it is $7. Again, readily available. Mine, I've had it for so long, the Stampin' Up! Logo is worn off. It doesn't look all pretty anymore, but it doesn't matter. They last forever. They're very tough and are very important in card making and stamping. The next thing is, if I had to pick one adhesive, that's really hard, because once you get used to doing a lot of crafting and stamping, card making, you're going to have different adhesives that you like to use for different situations. But if I only had to have one, I think I would say the multi-purpose liquid glue. And this is a new one. I'll open that up. It is very affordable and lasts a long time. I think that's one thing that I like about it, is it can be used in many different situations. It's very strong. But what's nice is once you glue something down, you can move it a little bit if you need to adjust, but then it will adhere and won't be able to be moved. So that is kind of a nice thing to know about it. You just want to make sure that one of the things that can be hard is if I'm like kind of a messy crafter. So if you have glue that oozes out onto your project, you're going to need to get that off because it might show a little. So that's one thing, is less is more for this. And this is $5.50. So it lasts a long time. It has a fine tip end. It's already coming out a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. And then that's the end I usually always use, but it does have this wider one. I don't know why I don't use it more, but that is a wider surface that can really spread glue if you want a thicker line or a wider line. Very useful in a lot of different situations. Again, very strong. I will have other adhesives that I will introduce at some point as well, but I would say if I had to choose one, this would be the one I would get. And next is you need an acrylic block. So these kind of blocks come in all sizes. We have many sizes in our catalog, and I can show you where they are in the catalog too. But this one is called a C block, and let me think here. The size of this one is about a little less than 3 inches square. again, many different sizes. You can, whatever you have will work. You just want to make sure your block, it's best to have it kind of close to your stamp size. So our stamps come in two types. We have a red rubber stamp and we have a photopolymer, which is a clear kind of a plastic that's very clingy, and both of those stick right onto our block. Then we ink that up and then we can press it down, and you can see right where you're going on your project when you're stamping. So this is very important. I just kind of thought maybe C, the size C is the most flexible size to use. You might have some stamps that are going to be large, or you're going to have some that are small and it might be a little big, but if you only could buy one, I would probably get the C for now, and you can add on more as time goes on. So I was going to show you here, I mean, we have lots of sizes. I mean, they go all the way up to this ginormous guy. So they're large and all the way down to small. And we have some that are, narrow for like sentiments, kind of longer, like rectangular. This, I would say, this is another really popular size. That's our B. This must be our A. So these are the first three sizes. Again, C is probably the most used, and so that's what I would suggest for that. And the fifth tool, oh, and by the way, that C block is $8, and those are pretty much, I think they're pretty much indestructible, and you will not need to replace that unless you just want to have more, but it'll last forever. So those are super nice. The nice thing I like about the Stampin' Up! Ones, by the way, are they had this groove here, and they're really nice and thick. So you have a good handle here. They're very ergonomic, so that when you're stamping, you get a nice press on there, and they're just, I don't know, I can really tell a difference having that groove on there. It really helps hold it better, have a good grip on it, and you get a good image that way. So the last thing for today on your starter, I'm calling, like I said, level 1, like your beginner most used tools. If I had to choose one ink, I would choose the black Tuxedo Black Memento ink. I feel like black is the most flexible. We use it a lot, especially for sentiments. It has a nice felt pad here. If you stamp off, so I'll be showing you some techniques here in a little bit when we make our card for today. But when you stamp an image and you just stamp it once, it's going to be full, vibrant black. If you stamp it off, that's a technique that we have. It's where you stamp it once on the side and then onto your project. It's like a whole nother ink color. It is lighter, and you'd think it's a different ink, but that is... this will be a great one because you can color it. You can color your images with watercolor pencils or markers, that kind of thing. So that is the most versatile. So if you were going to get this is $6.50, and we do have a re-inker for it, so you can get the ink in a little bottle. I think that's less than this even, and that is nice for if you have had it a long time and it starts to not be quite as vibrant, then you can easily ink it up, and then it's just like a new one. I want to show you in our annual catalog where some of these are. If you need a catalog, let me know. But I wanted to show you our Memento Black ink is on 137. And there are other things too that are super amazing, but we're starting out with the beginning and trying not to overwhelm you is the point here. Then on 145 is where it shows our trimmer, and it shows the blades that you can get for it, replacement blades. So if it ever starts feeling dull to you, you can just get a replacement blade for that. And I think they're in a 4-pack, and super nice because then you have that sharp cut again, and it's not like you have to replace the trimmer. And you can turn them around so you can have it in your trimmer going one direction like this. And if you're using it a lot, and if you feel like it's not as sharp, you can always turn the blade around, it can go in that way as well. And then it's a two-sided blade. It cuts forward or backward. So some people only push their blade, so it's always using the same side, so that when they turn it around, it's like having a whole nother blade. And some people do both, or maybe they just pull, but I tend to do both. Just, I'm not as good about trying to be strategic with my cutting, but maybe it's a habit that you can get into, whichever way you prefer to do it. But they're very nice to have, those replacement blades, of course. And so that was on page 145. And then the blocks are on page 151. And this right here just shows all the different sizes we have and that kind of thing. Again, I was recommending block C, which is that one there. All right, so that is what I would suggest to start with if you're interested in getting into stamping. And so now we need to create something. That's what it's all about. I'm going to try to show you a card front that you can make using a lot of these things that we talked about here, a lot of our basics. It's not using a lot of other products. And so right now we have a thing going on where if you order $50 or more, then you can choose a free product out of this celebration catalog, which is going on through February 29th of 2024. And so if you, let's say if you had to buy all 5 of those that I showed you, it would be $52. And if you have a $50 order, then you can get a level 1 free product out of here. So let's say if you're just starting and you needed those 5 items, then you could choose something free. One thing you could get would be a stamp set. You could choose a pack of paper. So all of this would help you to build up that stash at your house, that you can have on hand to be able to make some things. So paper or stamps would be a good place to start. They have some cute little animals here. They have one stamp set that is all sentiments, which are nice to have because those are what you use a lot. You're always going to want one that says Happy Mother's Day or Easter or Dad, you're the best. I mean, you use those all the time. We have some masculine themed or some tool themed paper here. And these all do coordinate with things in this new mini catalog that we have. I'm probably overwhelming you with catalogs here. But currently, you can order out of our first catalog I showed you. That's our annual catalog. It goes through April. We just had this one come out. It's called our mini catalog, and it goes from January to April. But this special called Celebration, that is going on through January and February of 2024, where with your order, for every $50 you get a free item, and if you spend $100, then you get another free either one free $50 choice, or they do have some $100 choices as well. So you could get a whole thing of dies for $100. But there's just a lot of fun things to get. It's a good way to get some extras while you're trying to build up what you have at home. But you don't need it all, and I'm going to try to show you that. One thing that's super nice too right now is if you, this is a stretch, but if anybody was thinking, I think I would like a way to be able to get more product and I want some perks with it. If you would choose to join Stampin' Up, you could be a discount shopper. You could join my team. It's a lot of fun. You get to go to all kinds of events. The starter kit is $99, and right now they're having a thing where you can get a free Stampin' Glass Matte Studio. It's just so cool. That comes along with that starter kit. So you choose $99 worth of anything out of our current catalogs, and you get that also. And you also get a free paper pumpkin kit and all kinds of goodies, and it's free shipping and everything. So it's a great way to build up what you need, and you aren't obligated to go any further. If you want to keep going and stay a discount shopper or a demonstrator, you can do those things. The other option would be you could choose $30 worth of other products to go in your starter kit if you didn't want the glass mat. So that's just, I wanted to throw that out there for you. We have some really cool products in this new mini catalog. You may have seen some of them. I think last week I showed you this one. It was this Be Mine, and we made a card with that. Fun stuff, but again, not trying to overwhelm you, just want to show you the options. So what we're going to do is I am just going to start out with using white cardstock. I'm going to throw in a little bit of paper here and there, like our designer series paper. But what I'm going to do is let me get my products here. All right. We're going to do some crafting. One thing I want to show you is, let me go to my screen, which is here. So this is my Keep in Touch Crafts. I have my own website, and go to that anytime. It's just keepintouchcrafts.com, and that shows you things going on, but it also shows like projects to make, like that was last week's project. So you could go there and click on it, and you can download the tutorial for it. So that is the keepintouchcrafts.com. And you can have there's a lot of my old projects that I've made in the past, and lots of different ideas for you. So I wanted to show you that. And I also want to let you know we do have a clearance rack. This is another money saving tip that Stampin' Up! Has. This is right now what's on the clearance rack. It changes all the time. Things can sell out. But you can get some really good deals here. Let's say you don't have many stamp sets and you want one. Well, you can get one for a lot cheaper if you go to a clearance site here. And one thing I'm going to show you today, I don't know if you can see the in the middle, the For Everything fancy sequins. I'm going to have those on my project today, just to show you they're super easy to use, and right now they're on clearance and they're only $6, and you get a huge thing of them. I'll have to here, I put mine in a cute little jar, and I'll show you that in a minute. I forgot. I'm not on screen. Anyways, that's such a cool stamp set you can look at. There's paper. This is a good way to have paper also. You could get a paper pack here, 6 by 6, and these are all like 1, 2, 3, 5 different colors, and you can get the paper pack for $4.80. So you'd get a good stash to have on hand. And you can get ribbons, you can get punches, various things to build up so that you can have the tools at home. So that is something you can, opt into if you want. And we'll come back down here now. I was going to show you, I put my sequins, what I have left here. These are those sequins for everything. And these are the ones that are on clearance right now. And you can see there are a bazillion in there. I mean, you'd be set for a long time. And there's all kinds of colors, sizes, but they're all very kind of flat, so that's kind of nice when we're making cards. And if we have to mail things, I'm messy. If you have to mail something, you want to keep in mind how tall it is, because that affects the postage, how deep it is or whatever, how fluffy it is. And these are just very flat, so they don't cause you to have to spend more for postage. So that's a nice thing to keep in mind. So I'm going to grab white cardstock. Let's see what else here. What are we going to do? Do you want to see? Here's another thing. This is what we call a paper pumpkin kit, and I love these because they come to your home every month. And what's nice is they're a great way to build up your stash of goodies, because you are going to have you're going to have a stamp set that comes with it. They're typically something that's kind of seasonal. It can be. This has a love theme on it. And Happy Valentine's Day, that kind of thing. So then you would be able to keep this and reuse it year after year. This is what the stamps look like when they're stamped. So those are in this month's kit. Like I said, they come every month to your door, and you can choose if you want it or not. And it comes with wonderful instructions. So this particular kit that we just got recently is called Lovely Lavender. It was the January kit. You had to subscribe by the 10th. So the February kit, you have to subscribe by February 10th, which makes it easy to remember. But it makes 4 tags and 8 different cards. So really pretty, and it gives you all the step-by-step instructions, exactly what to do. It comes with everything you need, and it also helps you with other ideas. You can go to the Paper Pumpkin website and get more ideas, but a lot of us demonstrators love to come up with other ideas on what to do with your set as well. So it comes with this baker's twine in a color you would use a lot because it's just a real, just kind of that natural color. And then it comes with an ink spot, so it's a smaller version of our ink pads. This one is the grape, the purple color that coordinates with this set here. And it also coordinates with something in our mini catalog, so that's kind of nice. So it comes with all of these tags you can make. I just made one of these tags. I make one of everything, and then the rest I kind of play with. And it also makes a card that looks like this. It says "With Love." It's got the bow on here, and then you can personalize the inside however you want. You could add more, because it comes with extra die cuts and extra everything, extra supplies, so you'll be able to adjust things if you want. And then this is the other card, Happy Valentine's Day, and that one kind of has a layer here. It's a little bit thicker, and it shows all of these floral die cuts in front of this window, and this window that was open, that's what made the tag. This was I haven't had a lot of time to play and make extra things, but my first version of a different card was just to keep these two together and then pop up this layer and sending love and best wishes, and then thank you for your friendship, and stamped on the inside a little bit. And I've been playing around with just some of the things to see what I can come up with, and I can show you in the future too, just some of the things that I've come up with. I haven't gotten them done yet, but I was even using things that you would normally cast off, that the dies or the layers get punched out of. I use that as just something to ink with. Then I used it as like a stencil almost. And I added a tag, lightly stenciled with that gorgeous grape color. I colored in an area here for the front of our envelope. And the envelopes are nice because they have they're really nice, beautiful. And they come with dimensionals, this one did, and all of these different die cut pieces that you can use. If you make it as is, it makes 8 cards and 4 tags, wasn't it? 4? And anyways, lots of that. It's a great way to start stamping and grow your supplies, and it's $24, comes to your door. Let me know if you need any help with that. All right, but what we're going to do is I am going to show you kind of a basic card front that you can do with about anything. And you may want a piece of paper, you may want a screenshot, whatever, so that you can remember this, because that's what I did when I first learned about it. And honestly, I don't even know where I learned about it because it was a long time ago. But what this is we're going to kind of learn about a basic card front you can do. So this is, first of all, we start with the standard card base. Now this is nothing new, 5.5 by 8.5, like we talked about last week, scored down the middle. This is your standard card base, and so that is your first piece that you'll use, and we will be creasing that down the middle just like usual, and then you'll use that bone folder and put a nice crease in it, and that is our first layer. So now we have other options on what to do next. When you have a layer like this, a lot of times what we end up doing is cutting down a basic layer that is 4 inches by 5¼ inches. And that is just a little bit smaller than our actual card base, so that I cut one down that's green just to give you that idea of what I'm talking about. If you do this at 4 by 5¼ this basic layer, then that is going to give you that nice 1/8 inch border all the way around on your card front. I just glued it onto that main base. This is very common that we do for card making, and this is not anything different, but it's a good thing to know the sizes because you'll be using it a lot. So what I'm going to suggest too is this next thing, you may want to make yourself a sample. So what this is going to be is you're going to take your card base, and it's scored and cut like we talked about. I'm not going to use this basic layer on this, but it is something I want to point out in case it is something you wanted to make a sample of so that you always know the size. The next thing then are some other layers. So the first layer is, you can even cut this out in the same color. You can make a card with all the same color cardstock, and you're just going to make layers, and you'll be amazed how much that dresses it up. So you would cut layer number 1 to go on your card at 3 3/4 by 5. So it's 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and that is going to be your first layer on your card. Then your second layer on your card is going to be, this has 1/8 in it, and that is not everyone's favorite, but what it is it is only 1/8 inch less than your layer 1. So you're going to cut it down to make it 1/8 inch less, and you'll see what it does. I don't know if it's going to show you very well. It's going to give you a layer that has a little teeny border all the way around, and it doesn't probably look like much now, but if you only have one cardstock color or two and you do this, this is going to elevate the look of your card to make it look much more elegant, and just it's going to add a lot. So that is layer 2. Now this right here would be a great way to start almost any card. It's got a lot of layers, but it also doesn't need a whole lot. But you can also switch out these layers with colors if you want. Or we learned what DSP is last week, which is that designer series paper that's patterned. You could switch out one of these layers with your designer series paper, and that would also then still have that nice matted border around it. And I'm going to show you examples of this. And then what I recommend for an inside layer, you can either do your standard, like let's say you have a colored card stock that you're using, and maybe it's black or navy blue or a color, it might be too dark for you to be able to really write a good message on that to your whoever you're writing to. So a lot of times we can put a layer on the inside. You don't have to do it if it's white or like a very vanilla with a real light color. You don't have to, but if you want to dress it up a little more, you can do a layer. You can do a basic layer, or you can also just do a smaller layer, which is 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. Whoops, bonk. 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. And what I like about this is you can get 5 of these out of a standard 8 1/2 by 11 sheet of cardstock. I can show you how to cut that. I'm going to grab one here. It's way over here. Okay. So I'm grabbing a bunch of our basic white cardstock, which is just standard, nice heavyweight cardstock. And I already showed you how to, cut this and score it to make a card base. But now, let's say, what I would suggest is if you're going to make some cards, here's how you can cut a card one sheet of cardstock to get 5 inside layers. And this way you can cut one sheet and then you'd have enough for 5 layers. So we are going to start with it in the vertical format here. And on this left edge, I am putting it at 3.5 inches. And so this is on 3.5. Then I'll close this down and I'm going to use the cutting blade, not the scoring one. So I am cutting back and forth here, and then that is how you cut this one. So here's a 3.5 layer, and here's the wider piece. Let's take the 3.5 and we're going to turn it, and we're going to cut 2 pieces that are 4 3/4. So we're going, I think that's what that was that I showed you. Where did I put it here? These are our layers, and I must have set it with a different one. I had it all like fancy ready. Here it is. Yeah. Oh, 3.5 by 4 3/4. So that's what we're working on here. We did our first cut at 3.5, and now we are doing our second one. I bumped my blade here. So now we're going to do 4 3/4, and we're going to do 2 of them. And that's just a 1/4 inch shy of 5 inches here. So there is one of them. And here is the second one. So we're going to 4 3/4. So now here, that is the 2 of the 5 out of one sheet for the inside layer. And then right now this is, if I measure it, it's 5 inches wide, and these other ones were 4 3/4. So I am going to trim it down just a 1/4 inch off of one side. So I'm putting this right here at 4 3/4, and then I'm going to just cut a little sliver off. You don't have to cut that off if you don't, but it just makes it a little more balanced. So now we can cut out 3 that are 3.5. So 3.5 once, 3.5 twice, and one more 3.5, and that is your last cut there. And you also have an extra little strip, which this would be perfect for a sentiment strip, so you can keep that and use that also. So what that did then was, I just wanted to show you how you can cut down one sheet of your 8.5 by 11, and you can have the 5 different pieces for the inside layer of your cards. And just, you can keep those on hand, and then they're ready to go. So that was the inside layer, like so. Okay, now what we can do is kind of play around a little bit with our layers. And these layers I showed you, you can mix it up a little bit. You can maybe stamp on one of the layers. You can switch one of them out for some designer series paper. You know, there's a lot of different changes you can make. So what I'm going to do is show you some of those that I have done. And I know I'm missing one of them because it was 3 layers, right? Okay. So there's 1 and 2, and then I have another one somewhere. All right. It'll show up, won't it? I guess that's just the way of it. So I'm going to move this just to be able to show you a few things, what we're going to do. By the way, this is that glass mat too. I have that here. It's super nice to craft on. It's a nice sturdy surface, and it also comes with a couple of other things, like something to clean it off with, and then it also comes with this. Here they are. It comes with this like rubbery surface here, and then you could use this if you want to mix your inks in there, if you want to put some sequins in there so that you don't lose them and you can pick them out of there. You want to put a little glue in one of the areas, maybe a little ink for ink blending. These are lots of things that we would be doing and using, and I can show you in the future more some of those uses for that. But this can either be on the side, you can have it off of your mat, or you know, wherever you want it. But that is super nice. That comes with it. And it also comes with I haven't even opened this yet. This is the the cleaning cloth that comes with it, so that all you need to do to clean it off is use this, and you can rinse it out, you can, that kind of thing, but then you just clean the surface off with this, and it's all neat and tidy. So that is that Glass Mat Studio that we were talking about earlier. All right. Oh, here's my, oh no, that's inside. Okay, so we are going to go back to our project here, and I'm going to show you some samples of what I'm talking about with those layers. Okay, oh, here was the other one. Layer 3 was 3.5 by 4 3/4. But I also have an optional, I have to fess up, sometimes I like a smaller front. So an optional layer 3 would be a little smaller, 2 5/8 by 3 7/8. And that would make it so that it has a 1/2 inch border all the way around, and I'll show you some samples. Okay, one card that I made was just this basic card, but I used these layers that I was showing you, and I did some stamping, and this stamp set is one that is one of the free ones you can get through Celebration. And then I just used white, so I only used white cardstock. I did use some colored ink here, but I used the black ink for our sentiment, and these are those clearance sequins I was telling you about. And I also did pop up this layer on dimensionals, and that is going to be probably one of the first things that I'm going to list as your next level of crafting supplies that you need, because those are, you don't need them, you don't have to have them, but they're super nice for your projects. I don't know if you can see it, but one thing I did was there are some lines that I scored in the background there. You can kind of see it down here too. You can't see it really a lot on camera, but it does show up more in person, and there are just 3 lines going this direction, and then they come down here, and I just used the scoring blade of my trimmer, and I scored it. I'll show you what I did, because you might want to know how to do that. You're just going to take your layer, whichever layer it is that you want, and let's say that this was my layer. This isn't, but it's just a scrap I had here. What I did was I went corner to corner, so you can really see where you're going here. And I'm putting one point in the track and the other point in the track, and then I'm going to put this down. Now I do want to move my cutting blade out of the way. I don't want to cut. I only want to score. So we're only going to use this blade. And again, I have this set so that the points are in this track. So I will use the scoring blade. I'm just pressing down a little bit, and I want to show you what that looks like. Here is just a little bit of a line scored. Can you even see that? Barely. And then on the back you might be able to see it more. Anyways, it's a line. What can I say? It's a score line. And then what I did was, on this card, I moved it over. I'm putting the score line now even with the first line. This is a 1/4 inch line. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more for you so you can see it better. Can you see that okay? I think it's on there. So what I did was put this corner and this corner now on the first 1/4 inch line that goes all the way up and down. And then I'm going to close it, so that is giving me a 1/4 inch distance from one score line to the next. Okay, can you see that? There we go. There, so that's 2 of them, and then I'm going to do another one on this side. So the fact that we have our ruler on this side is very helpful too, because then we can take that original point-to-point score line and put it a 1/4 inch to the right of the track. Close it and score, and then you're going to have 3 parallel lines that you can use as a background. You can make them go any different direction or any direction you want. You could have it on there this way with it be a valley, like going downward, or you could use it flipped upside down like I did on my other sample, where it's more of a raised lines on there, and it just adds a little detail. I've seen people do like horizontal and vertical lines, and it makes kind of a what would you call it, like a hash marks or hash lines. It just adds detail. So give that a try. Play with it a little bit. See what you can come up with. And again, that's what I did to create these lines in the background from here to here. Okay. And on the inside of this one, I didn't put our inside layer because it's white. We didn't really need it. I just used my stamp and stamped the image here in the corner. So that is a very simple, but it's one example of using those layers that I showed you. So now the other one, let's see, here's another sample, and this one's very monochromatic. I don't have a lot of color in it, but you could do any of these with a bright pink, a red, yellow, blue, you know, any color. I just chose to leave it very monochromatic. Just for the sample. You can do whatever you want, and this is a free paper that you can get right now. This layer is has an embossing folder that makes this have lines and dots kind of put right into the paper. Can you see that background? Yeah. So that really adds a lot to a layer without stamping or doing anything. It just gives that texture and a pattern. Then I have this layer. I used a color that matched the color here. And this is some of the patterned paper. This is kind of similar to what's on sale and clearance right now, where you get kind of all one color. I mean, this one on clearance right now has 5 different colors in it, but we have all kinds of paper packs that just are based on our different color families. So this is our, gosh, what is this? Pebbled Path, it's called. It's one of our current in colors, but it matches, the paper matches this here image, the ink color on it. And the Big Hugs is part of the stamp set. I use those same little, that bling. Then I just cut a strip of the designer series paper and put it on the inside. Here for You Always, a very simple card that just uses, you know, not a lot of product, but different versions of that layered card. And we're going to make one too. So I wanted to show you, this is that smaller size. So I was, and so is this one, I believe. Both of these have that smaller optional size that I told you about that was on our other layer. Layer 1 and 2, it was layer 3. And here it is. This is the optional size I was showing as 2 5/8 by 3 7/8. Both of these show that instead of this larger size, which you could use as well if you would want. But it's just another, if you didn't want to do that, you could use the smaller size. Okay, let's make one of these ourselves. I kind of have some of it cut and ready to go. So I have a 6 by 6 paper pack here that I wanted to show you where I had gotten that gray kind of color. That was this. And I think I had used another side of it, but these are great kinds of packs of paper to get if you want to have just some options of a color family. So that is one thing. This one is called the 2023 to 25 in color 6 by 6 paper pack. We have these every year in different card groups, I guess. But what I'm going to do is pull out some things that are in our current mini catalog, and this is some of the free options that you can choose. So here we have some layers we're going to do. We're starting off with this 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so our standard 5 1/2, 8 1/2 scored down the middle. That's just our basic standard starting point. Then I have our first 2 layers done. I did, I'm going to pull back my, so that was this, the card base was this standard card base like that. Okay. Then our next layer is layer 1 was 3 3/4 by 5. So that's what this one is. This first layer was. Layer 2, what I did was I used a paper pack that I want to show you here. Okay. So this is an example of some of the paper that you could choose. This paper pack is called Softly Stippled, and it's 12 by 12 pack of paper. And I got to back up my screen a little, I think, so you're not, on top of it as much. But this is what this paper looks like, and it's two-sided. They always are. And so one side has more of a pattern. The other side is more just a texture, which is just kind of nice sometimes. So you can use these textured sizes for maybe one of your layers, or side for one of your layers. Then the focal point would be more of what you see the most of. But that's what this one has for choices, and it comes in 12 by 12. So it's like, I just love this paper. I think it's so pretty, and it's just kind of that stippled, kind of a stippled look to it. Really pretty, and you can choose any of the colors that are in there for your layers, that kind of thing. And then I thought this, oops, pulling out all my stuff here. I thought this was a really pretty color too. It's more the greens and blue kind of color, because it looks a little different than in the little swatches when you get to see it up big. This was the one I just showed you. That was that monochromatic card that had just very little color on it. All right, so I am choosing to use that paper pack. Oops. Okay, where is it all here? All right, so here is layers 1 and 2. Then we need to decide what we want to have for our next layers. So 3, do we want a large one, a small one, that kind of thing? Because this is 2 with the color. That's just gonna show a little bit of color here. And again, I'll probably do the smaller size because I kind of want this to show a little bit. So this will be layering on here like that. And then we have layer 1 and 2. So for layer 3, I need to find my card so I can show you instead of keep losing it. Base 1, 2. Here's our 3. 2 5/8 by 3 7/8. So we have our paper. I just chose one randomly, and I'm going to cut it at 2 5/8. So if you're not loving eighths, the size that is eighths, what we would do with 2 5/8 is just go to 2 1/2, and this is at 2 1/2. I want you to be able to see it here. There's 2 1/2. So 2 5/8 is just a half of a square more, because it can be confusing sometimes. So that is where that is lined up. Then I'm holding it down, and then I'm just cutting. So that is the 2 5/8. All right, then I'm going to turn it, and the length of this is going to be 3 7/8, which if you go to 4, that's too far, so go back 1/8 of an inch. So 3 7/8 is just a little less than 4. So that, oh no, just bumped my blade again. I put it in the wrong, oh, that was my scoring blade anyway. So 3 7/8 is here. All right, so that is cutting it down for our front layer. And then I'm going to move this. I'm going to zoom back out again, so that's too close. See my mess? Oh goodness. And what's next? Let's put it together. Let's decide what we want for sentiments on there. And we have our layers. So that's that. And if you want, you can use that multi-purpose liquid glue. I'll kind of show you some of how that kind of works here. Just remember, less is more. And so I'm just gonna put a real thin little, oops, I think I have to clear off that end. So I'm putting just a real thin little line. Sure I am. Come on. Oh, you can do it, glue. Maybe this one's getting too low. Gosh. I should use the one I just opened. Okay, this guy must be out, and I didn't even realize that. Really good. We'll try this one. It was bursting earlier anyway, so it wanted to be used here. I just am putting the tip of it down, and not even squeezing. I just have very little glue. I don't know if you can see it. Just a little bit. I don't have it close to the edge because I don't want it oozing out. And there is a way to clean it up. Trust me, I've done it a million times. So I'm just going to put this down. And the nice thing about that multi-purpose liquid is you can wiggle it around a little bit so it gets nice and straight right into place. And then once you press it down, it's going to stay. Okay. All right. We're getting there. So that is that. Then the next piece is going to be our card front that we cut. I think this was the one. And see how it's got plenty of borders that you can see this color, that pop of color we put on there. So that is going to be nice. What I'm going to do though is put dimensionals on here. And that is going to be something I'm going to recommend next, the next tool kit or whatever that we're going to do. The level 2, I guess you'd say. Are dimensionals, because they make a huge difference. They really make things pop up. So I'm just going to use 5 on there, and this is going to make this setup off of your project a little bit, but not so much that you can't still mail it in a standard mailing envelope. So I'll take these little liners off, and then that's an adhesive in itself because this is sticky, and that'll be plenty to keep that in place. I'm trying to get that in the middle. All right, so you can kind of move it a little bit. Then once you press it down, it's gonna stay. All right, that's our front here. Let's put a sentiment on there and maybe a little bling, a little bit of our sequins. So I'm gonna get those here. And what I should do is grab my handy dandy little slotted, not a slot, what would it be, for my mat, you know, the little rubbery surface. Here it is. That is gonna keep our glue contained and keep our, I can put these little, I think I might put them in here though actually. So I'm just putting some here so that I can see what I'm using, what I have there. And I'm gonna cheat, you guys, and I'm sorry, but I have a tool that is my next level 2 for you as well. That is super helpful, and it is. I'll tell you more about this next time. Take your pick tool, and it comes with this little putty end. This end has some putty on it, which picks up sequins really well. And then I'm going to put a little well of the glue here, just a teeny bit. I don't know if you can see how much I put, but very little. Just a little bit of, that'll be plenty for what we need it for. Whoops, wrong lid. And then what I'm going to do is get this front of our card here, and we're going to see where we might want some bling on there, some of that sequins. But I also should be putting a sentiment on somewhere too. And let's just use our white for that. I don't think our glue will dry that fast. So what I'm going to pull in here is, I've been using, this is called, what's it called? I can't even see it. This is a Celebration free stamp set that you can get too, another choice. It's called Softly Sophisticated, and it's got some florals and some sentiments, so it's a nice one. So these flowers get layered onto these stems. So they are a clear stamp. You can see right where you're stamping, so photopolymer. So then they're layered, and you can do some double stamping. That's what I used for the front of this. I used that stamp set where you can stamp the greenery first, and then you can line up and see through your block and through the stamp, and then stamp the floral part of it. So that is nice that that you can do that layered stamping with it, but I'm just going to use it for now for the sentiments. And I have those on this acrylic block. So on the front, I'm going to put hello there, and then you're in my thoughts, I'm going to put on the inside. So we can go ahead and pull in our Memento ink. And ooh, I'm going to ink this side of it. I'm going to take this off so we can see what we're doing. And I just am finding a scrap, and I'm going to stamp the hello there right on there, and we'll be able to trim that down to how we want it trimmed. And then I'm also, since I'm doing my stamping now, I'll pull this off, put this back on. And this is going to go on the inside. You can choose to do a layer on the inside, remember, or not. But since I cut those 5 and showed those to you, I should probably grab that. I think I have it right over here. Who knows where. Here we go. So I had cut those 5 inside layers, so we can use one of those, or you wouldn't even need to. If you're using white cardstock, you don't have to put a layer, but it can kind of dress it up. So I'm going to put, or I'm going to stamp You're in My Thoughts here. Kind of want to line it up with my grid paper. Now I normally will have to get right over it to see if it's straight, and since I don't want to get my head right in your way, I'm going to have to, this ought to be interesting. I'm going to give it a shot here. All right, You're in My Thoughts. It is not exactly centered, but if I put a couple of, if I put a little bling there, that'll center it a little more, or I could redo it by using the back. So that's another tip that you can keep in mind, not to panic. I'll clean that later. So we're going to cut this down and then put a little of our adhesive, or our, what are they called again, sequins on the inside too. Now, since I wanted to offset my center here, it's not centered, so I'm going to offset that with some of our little sequins, and I'm going to just dip them right in this, here's our dirty stamp. Dip it in that glue that I put down there earlier. I just want a teeny bit. And we'll put one here. And then I oozed the glue out, just, just for you guys, just so I can show you how to clean that up. Oops, okay, let's get in there a little more. And I was a little messy with that one, so I got to try to do better. I think I want another color, so maybe one of the colors I'll probably use on the front. I can maybe use this one here. Just barely need any glue. You can't even see it. But that is going to be put kind of to the side here. Yay. At least that one I didn't get a lot of ooze. But this one I got a lot of ooze, so once it's dry I got to get that off. So otherwise it'll look kind of smudgy, I guess you'd say. And what I use to get that off is one of these craft gum erasers, and mine gets lots of use because I'm not the neatest, as I've said. So if you have one of these, that's great, and you'll be able to kind of get some of that adhesive off a little later once it's dry. Right now I did probably get a little bit off, but I don't want to totally take off the whole sequins. And then if you want to stamp on there, you can stamp something, or since we used designer series paper on the front, then that might be something to use on the inside. But with the orientation, I don't want to take this paper and turn it this direction and have it sideways. So either I'm going to have to cut a longer strip, or I'm going to cut a piece that's, wider than this one is. And I will probably, let's see, oh, I happen to have one. So I must have cut this earlier. I'm going to use a longer strip that will go the whole distance of this piece here. We could even have it on the back since it's bigger. But what I'm going to do is first put it on the inside of the card and then decide how I want the designer series paper. So this is going to go here. And that's really all you would need to do. I always like to bring the front in. So my way of doing that is just going to be to put a little strip. I'm going to cut that down. All right, let's find our multi-purpose glue. Put a little bit of that on here. I'm not even squeezing, it just kind of comes out. But if I keep that tip of it right on the project, then it doesn't come out as fast. Get that centered on there. All right. And this piece here, our inside piece, we know since we cut it, it is 4 3/4 length. So I know that this will have to be 4 3/4 long. And so we can trim that down a little bit here. Maybe back out a little. All right, 4 3/4 was the length. You could always go a little bit longer and then trim it if you do that before you put the inside, actually adhere it. And I feel like this is a little bit too wide, so I am going to cut it down to more like, I don't know, 1/4 or 3/8 or whatever. I'm going to just cut that in half. It's going to be about 3/8, but 1/4 of an inch or something narrow would probably be best. So I'm just going to use one of those. Okay, and that's going to go on this piece here on the inside. Let's see if it matches where I am here. All right, so I can't really tell if just from the strip itself if it should go one way or the other. Like the image doesn't look upside down either way. So I am going to kind of match it up to, I had more of this tannish color at the bottom on the front, more of the orangish on the top. So I'm going to put it in this direction, and I'm just going to put it on this one side. I could do it right next to our layer or right on it, either way. And just a titch of glue on here. Less is more, but we still want it to stay adhered down really well. I am putting it on the layer piece, just with a very teeny bit of the layer showing. The edge of it is just going to show it a little bit. So I'm scooting this down a little and adhering that just so that there's that pop color to match the front. Okay, and it's right on the edge. I don't know if you can see, right on the edge of this layer. It's showing a little bit. And then our, so that's done. Now we just need our inside sentiment, which was this hello there. And I am gonna just put this as a little banner on the front, on the edge. So I need to trim it. And I'm gonna have, I'm gonna leave a little extra room and make sure it's straight too. I'm gonna leave a little extra. And then what I want to do is, what's nice about the trimmer is it helps me to cut a scrap and make it straight. So I'm kind of eyeballing it to start with, but then once I put this down, there's like lines and that kind of thing on this piece, and I can tell if I have it in there straight or if it's crooked. So then you can see that that's pretty straight along the bottom. And if I cut the edge just parallel to this, if I put this edge on a line, then I know that it should be straight. So that's what I'm going to do. I want to make sure you can see right where you're going with this trimmer. Right in this track is where it's going to cut. So that helps me know if I have it straight or along with the lines on there. So that should be pretty good. So there is our sentiment, and I am going to trim it a little bit to make it like a banner. It could be, you can do any number of things. You could make it just in the center. You could put it on a side. You could put it on the top. You could, you know, whatever you like, right in the middle. You could put another focal point there, but I kind of want the pattern to really show. So what I'm going to do is just make it a banner, and I'm going to put it so that this edge is the banner portion, which is cut like a V. And so I'm going to get some scissors here, and what I'm going to do is cut right in the center, and then I'm going to cut from each point to that center cut. And that should make a decent banner. We also have punches we can use and that kind of thing, or you can kind of, like, I feel like it's a little wonky, so I might get it a little better. A little shape I like a little better. And that's okay, I guess. All right, and then that is going to get adhered down, and I'm going to just use the same glue. It's multi-purpose, lots of purposes. And I'm going to go up and about there with it. And these, like, there's no right or wrong. There's no one way to do it. Actually, yeah. I was changing my mind, but yeah, I'm fine. I usually do that. Now I'm going to put a little bit more of the sequins there. And I'm going to put, you could do all one color, you could do, you know, whatever you prefer for dressing that up a little bit. One thing is, I usually recommend using an odd number of sequins on there, and think triangle. That is kind of a triangle shape. It's not going to be exactly a triangle, but that is sort of what you keep in mind when you're kind of deciding where you want to put those. So I just got a little teeny bit of glue on there. My first one I am going to put right there. I'm just really drawing the eye into the sentiment. Then the second one, I'm going to choose maybe something different as far as like a color. I also don't want to go too far away from what I'm already doing for a color scheme. I think this one had a different one stuck on it. So I put a little bit of glue on there. And then this one I'm going to put, I don't know yet. How about right here? Again, no right or wrong. And thirdly, there's so many choices. That's the hard part. Maybe I'll use kind of one of these that's in the pinkish kind of family that is gonna go along and match with the one I put on the inside. And that one I am gonna put maybe on one of, I was thinking on maybe one of the flowers, or could go here. I don't know, I can't decide. All right, let's put it, no. Yep, well, it's going there now because I put a big smear lap of glue on it. I'm gonna have to clean that up. Oh, it oozed. I did too much. Yeah, my bad. All right, so that is my card front for today. We got some layers that really dress it up. You can switch out those layers with different papers and colors. You can go all one color, all, you know, switching it up different colors. But those are some ideas for using our layers, and make it simple, make it complicated, whatever you like. Where's my other one? Here it is. Okay. I sure hope that you learned a lot today or got some inspiration of things you want to try to make. If you do this layering system, I'd love to hear about it and see if it helps you, see if there's anything I need to clarify. I'm trying to, you know, break it down a little bit. Sometimes that's easier said than done. And I'm going to go back and clean up my messes there once I'm through with once it dries, so that'll be helpful. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope it was helpful. Feel free to contact me anytime if you have suggestions, questions, all that good stuff. So let's just make sure that we're keeping in touch with others, and I hope you have a great day, and we will see you next Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Time as well. Thanks for joining. Take care. Bye.